SCP-1440. Imagine you're walking down the street. You pass an old man with a glass cup, a sack, and a crusty deck of playing cards. Suddenly, you have type 1 diabetes, your hair falls out, your organs fail, and a plague from the 14th century materializes in the Starbucks across the street. Oops! Looks like you just brushed past SCP-1440, also known as the only old fart you don't want to square up against. So, who is he? No clue. He looks like your average crusty pensioner, but claims he once died in war, then challenged the Brothers of Death to a card game to win his life back. He actually won, and then immediately fumbled the bag by stealing their prized possessions. 1. A cup that heals anything. 2. A sack that traps anything. And 3. A deck of cards that brings good luck. Just not to him, apparently. Instead, he got cursed to be a one-man natural disaster. Wherever he stays too long, everything dies. People, buildings, SCPs, retirement dreams, all gone. Naturally, the Foundation tried to contain him. That's when he politely walked into the facility, asked for help, and unintentionally nuked the place. Hundreds dead. 6 SCPs gone. One guy's lunch exploded. But the worst part is that he actually wants to be contained. Too bad nobody can figure out how without dying. So now he spends his golden years roaming the Earth, killing everything in a 5-mile radius by accident. SCP-4567-J. You all remember SCP-3199, right? That nightmare chicken that lays eggs in any unoccupied space. Closets, elevator shafts, your coffee mug? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it laid this thing too. SCP-4567-J is a 3.9-meter tall humanoid egg, with 7 human legs sticking out at random angles and 1 eye that blinks independently. It's encased in a shell made of organic compounds and dried human muscle tissue, which is exactly as disturbing as it sounds. Its only goal? Find parmesan cheese. Not world domination, no crazy revenge plot. Just cheese. So we can all relax. Unless your name is Brie. This thing can't say anything except parmesan in a flat, robotic voice. Even more robotic than my own voiceover. But at least mine's sexy. If you agree, subscribe, or else you'll find eggs in places you don't want them. Alright, I'll stop being cheesy now. Speaking of cheese, when SCP-4567-J finds it, things get weird. It violently convulses, shakes, and emits a blinding light while consuming the cheese through a crack in its shell. The light's so intense nobody can watch the process, which is probably for the best. After eating, its legs retract, the eye closes, and it stays dormant for 24 hours. Then it wakes up and starts hunting again. Anyway, containment is basically the worst case scenario, because nothing contains it. It's practically immune, or at least absurdly strong and weird. Enough that all known containment protocols fail. Now it just walks across the globe 24/7, crushing locks, breaking walls, sprinting at inhuman speeds just to sniff out its next parmesan supply. SCP-507. SCP-507 is a guy who can't stay in one reality for more than 2 weeks, not by choice, just against his will. He's classified as the Reluctant Dimension Hopper, which just means he randomly gets yeeted into alternate dimensions at the worst possible times. He's an average-looking, slightly overweight guy found in an asylum after repeatedly escaping. Guards thought it was teleportation. Turns out, he was just involuntarily hopping realities. The Foundation took him in, and he went willingly, probably hoping they could fix it. Unfortunately, it appears no amount of containment can stop SCP-507 from jumping into other realities, himself included. The shifts are completely random. Sometimes he lands in a world basically identical to ours. Other times, giant spiders, moving corpses, and once, talking hot dogs. Then there was the dimension where he met the Smiling Man, a guy in a suit whose face was uncomfortably close when 507 turned on his flashlight. The man said, "Back so soon?" To which 507 responded by emptying his gun into the darkness and waiting it out, which makes him the first white guy with a solid survival strategy, honestly. Anyway, his ability is the reason why he's uncontainable. Though he's given permission to roam freely around the facility and use the internet, he's accompanied by an agent. Not to stop him, just to notify everyone in case he shifts again. One tiny problem, though. Anyone touching him when he shifts goes with him. One agent grabbed his shoulder mid-shift and ended up lost in another dimension. They never found him. So now there's a strict don't touch 507 rule after 2 weeks between shifts. So yeah, he's technically safe, but he can't high-five without risking interdimensional kidnapping. SCP-173. Alright, I lied. This one isn't exactly uncontainable, but when you hear what's needed to contain it, you'll understand why it might as well be. SCP-173 looks like a peanut-shaped statue made of concrete, rebar, and Krylon brand paint. So if you like peanuts, you're probably gonna like this one. Well, until you realize the kind of horror it brings. You see, this thing stands at 6.6 feet tall, weighs 468 kilograms, and has one hobby: cracking other people's nuts instead of its own. Here's the golden rule. Don't ever take your eyes off it. Not for a second. Because the moment you look away, even to blink, it sprints at you at breakneck speed and literally breaks your neck. That's it. That's the whole threat. You're safe as long as you maintain eye contact. Blink? Dead. Tie your shoes? Dead. Sneeze? Deader than the concrete it's made of. Nobody knows why it does this. Maybe it likes staring contests. Maybe it craves attention. Either way, if you have a peanut allergy, stay far away from this guy. If you don't, also stay away. Now, containment is basically the world's longest staring contest. 3 people enter the cell at once, doors locked at all times, maintaining constant eye contact while cleaning. Oh, and speaking of cleaning, his cell is covered in shit. Yeah, apparently a peanut that cracks people wasn't shitty enough, so now it's literally covered in it. Anyway, whatever you do, don't ask him about D, because if you do, you'll meet D's nuts real quick, and it'll be the last thing you ever do. SCP-001. Brace yourself because we're about to meet the GOAT, also known as the greatest guardian of all time or whatever. I mean, you're not 001 for nothing, right? And yes, I know there are plenty of 001 proposals, but this guy is quite literally the star of the show. You see, the Gate Guardian is no other than the guardian of the gates of Eden himself, possibly the angel Uriel. He's stationed somewhere in present-day Iraq, standing at approximately 700 cubits tall. That's about 1,050 feet, for anyone who doesn't measure things in ancient biblical units. And not gonna lie, bro looks absolutely majestic with his flaming wings and a sword that burns at temperatures rivaling the sun, which matches his sole purpose. Stand there and look hot, I mean guard a gate, obviously, and he takes that seriously. He hardly ever moves from his post, but the one time he did, he approached the SCP Foundation's founder, Aaron Siegel, and said one word: prepare. Luckily, Aaron Siegel understood and built the Foundation. If it were me, I would have thought he wanted to barbecue. He lights the fire, I'll prepare the steak, whatever. Sure enough, he's uncontainable. What are you gonna do? Ask nicely? Because apparently, anything that comes within a kilometer gets evaporated immediately. The Foundation tried drones, missiles, even nukes, all obliterated. So they decided to do the next best thing. Build a perimeter around it and just watch. Because any movement from the Gate Guardian means the world is ending soon. So yeah, let's just hope he dozes off like a normal guard. Otherwise, we're all cooked. Literally. SCP-3899. If there's one SCP that's driving the Foundation absolutely crazy, it's SCP-3899. And trust me, when you encounter it, you're about to be in for a wild ride. It's a Keter-class black Peterbilt 379 that appears out of nowhere at night, going 430 kilometers per hour. So, like, just barely above legal in Florida. Oh, and it also teleports up to 300 meters to avoid obstacles, while black smoke smelling like ash, diesel, and blood pours from its exhaust, which should give you a clue that it's not on the road to deliver your groceries, by the way. Instead, it's every driver's nightmare, apart from parallel parking. Surprisingly, there's someone or something operating behind the wheel. Only known as SCP-3899-1, it appears as the average chubby trucker driver with a billet hat. The only difference is his passenger situation. Instead of a box of donuts riding shotgun, he's got tentacles. Whether that's his helper or another SCP hitchhiking, SCP-3899-1 won't tell. Now, you might think, okay, weird truck, still containable, right? Well, not really. He shows up at night, vanishes at sunrise, and disappears instantly if it causes an accident. So yeah, you can't exactly box in something that snaps in and out of existence on a whim. The Foundation tried everything: roadblocks, containment chambers, strongly worded letters. Nothing made a dent. So now they decided to go down another road and just monitor it instead. Guess they got tired of chasing his ass for real. But despite being a road rage incarnate, SCP-3899-1 is oddly polite. One witness who crashed because of him even got an apology letter saying, "I'm sorry, didn't mean no harm. Get y'all a new rig and drive on," along with $12,000 in bloodstained bills. So if you see a black semi at night, just remember, he might kill you, but at least he'll feel bad about it. SCP-682. From the road rage truck, we go to just pure rage. SCP-682, otherwise known as the hard-to-destroy reptile, is literally that, a reptile beast that no amount of weapons, methods, or even SCPs can be used to get rid of. Even with 87% of his body destroyed, this musty crocodile can still walk, talk, and, apparently, insult people. You see, SCP-682 somehow decided that he wanted to be the ultimate hater. Nobody knows why Budget Godzilla hates everything life has to offer, but whatever the reason, he wants all life gone. The Foundation has tried everything to contain him. Shot him, nuked him, used other SCPs against him. He just shrugs it off, regenerates, and comes back more pissed. Once, they hit him with SCP-409, a crystal-based death touch. He just adapted and became immune to crystallization. Wow, did absolutely not see that coming. Can you imagine? Anyway, they've basically given up and dumped him in an acid bath. Does it kill him? Nope, but it keeps him mildly annoyed and mostly underwater. Still, they have to be careful. Give him a rock and he'll eat it. Give him a guard and he'll also eat it. Shockingly, there's one person he doesn't want to eat. SCP-053, a sweet little girl whose mere presence turns people into psycho-murder machines. Apparently, SCP-682 and SCP-053 get along pretty well. Croc lets her doodle on his scales and even allows her to call him, wait for it, Lizzie. But it's not because SCP-682 wants to be her mommy or whatever. He probably just respects the fact that she also breaks people's brains. Happy bonding moment, I guess? SCP-999. SCP-999 is a bright orange blob of jelly nicknamed the Tickle Monster. From the name, it definitely sounds like the type of creature that commits massacres and aims for world domination. But looks can be deceiving, apparently, because instead, this guy just sits on people until they feel better. And somehow, this is one of the most powerful SCPs alive. Let that sink in. 999 doesn't just bring good vibes. It's a walking antidepressant. Depression, gone. PTSD, healed. Arthritis? Who knows, probably. He even tried to pull an I can fix him on SCP-682, which went about as well as you'd expect. Now, SCP-682 totally hates SCP-999's guts. And understandably so. Anyway, the Foundation basically treats him like a therapy dog with diplomatic immunity. He roams freely, hangs with staff, and probably has a fan club. And if you want him back in containment, just ask nicely. I'm serious. He's too wholesome to disobey. And I already hear you. Why the hell would you put a piece of jelly in this list? Well, let me explain. Technically, he's classified as safe and fairly easy to contain. But realistically, Slime Boy can slither in, slither out, climb up, flatten down, squeeze through doors, and slip past barriers. So containing him would be pretty much useless anyway. Plus, with his ability to befriend anyone and tame enemies by making them happy, SCP-999 is kind of overpowered. Thankfully, though, he's a good boy. Because if he ever turned evil, we'd all die laughing. So yeah, those are the most uncontainable SCPs the Foundation's ever dealt with. Emphasis on dealt with, because they definitely haven't contained them. Comment which one you think you'd contain and how. And don't forget to subscribe or else.